Yeah.
There are no mistakes. There really aren't any, because you have a supreme destiny. When you're in your little mind, in your little personality mind, where you're not centered, where you really don't know who you are, that you come from something greater and bigger, and that we really all are the same. When you don't know that, you get all flustered. You get stressed all the time, wanting something to be what it isn't. There is a supreme moment of destiny calling on your life. Your job is to feel that, to hear that, to know that. And sometimes when you're not listening, you get taken off track. You get in the wrong marriage, the wrong relationship, you take the wrong job. Yeah, but it's all leading to the same path. There are no wrong paths. There are none. There's no such thing as failure, really, because failure is just that thing trying to move you in another direction. So you get as much from your losses as you do from your victories, because the losses are there to wake you up. The losses are to say, fool, that is why you go to school. So that CBS can call you. So when you understand that, you don't allow yourself to be completely thrown by a grade or by a circumstance, because your life is bigger than any one experience. And if I always ask people on Super Soul Sunday to tell me, what would you say to your younger self? Every person says in one form or another, I would have said, relax, relax. It's gonna be okay. It really is gonna be okay. Because even if you're on a detour right now, and that's how you know, when you're not at ease with yourself, when you're feeling like, oh, yeah, shouldn't be that is the cue that you need to be moving in another direction. Don't let yourself get all thrown off, continue to be thrown off course. When you're feeling off course, that's the key. How do I turn around? So when everybody was talking about, when I started this network, if I had only known, good Lord, how difficult it would be. The way through the challenge is to get still and ask yourself, what is the next right move? Not think about, oh, I got all of this stuff. What is the next right move? And then from that space, make the next right move and the next right move. And not to be overwhelmed by it, because you know your life is bigger than that one moment. You know you're not defined by what somebody says is a failure for you, because failure is just there to point you in a different direction.
My son is 24 and my daughter is 13. I'm one of the oldest moms in New York. I hold the record, actually. The reason, it sounds harsh, I don't invest in rich kids, which isn't really true, but almost true. Because rich kids on Shark Tank come with a couple of attributes that disturb me, okay? And then I'll go on to my own rich kids in a minute. They're not in the audience, are they? Okay. Rich kids come in with a couple of disadvantages, I feel, okay? They've had the right jobs because they had the right contacts. So they had the right apprenticeships in right companies in their summer months when they're teenagers. You know, they get the right introductions, okay? Poor kids are usually waiting tables and scrapping, dealing with customers, spilling coffee, and getting shouted at. A little different, okay? Rich kids, when starting businesses on Shark Tank, the ones I see on Shark Tank, typically have gone to the finest schools. And what comes with going to the finest schools, especially business schools, what comes is a certain attitude that they know it. That's a dangerous attribute to have in anything when you're starting out in anything. Okay? But what they do know is they know all about business as an observer, but they don't know business as a player. Whereas poor kids tend to have had hardship. They've had to be a player earlier. They've had to contribute to the family. They've seen their parents struggle. They know the power of a buck. They've never gone on a fancy vacation, so they aspire to the vacation. I'm giving you whole kinds of shit, right? Okay. But I do believe in it. And then the last is an injured poor kid is, for me, a guarantee that I'm going to make money if he's got the ego to prove somebody else wrong. I had the great advantage of my first business partner telling me I'd never succeed without him. He handed me an insurance policy for success. I would rather die than let him see not me succeed. And so I have many of my partners. Sabin never had a dad, okay? And his dad looked him up once he became halfway famous on Shark Tank, wants to start a relationship again. You know, Sabin's making a lot of money. How insulting is that? You know, never saw his dad. I have injuries in a lot of my best entrepreneurs, and it fills you with passion to prove something. You know, love of money doesn't make a good entrepreneur. Most great entrepreneurs really aren't focused on the money at all. It kind of just happens because they're focused on being phenomenally successful. And so, wait, did I even answer your question? What did you ask? Oh, about rich kids. Oh, let me go into my own rich kids. I think I lost myself over that ridge, okay? All right, my own rich kids, I got a couple of very lucky breaks, thank God. Not that I was praying for them, but I got a couple of lucky breaks. They're both severely dyslexic. And what that does for a child is provide a struggle. Okay? It also provides a child with self-doubt when they don't measure up. They're not the smart kid in class. And so I have two nice dyslexic kids that had to scrap and claw their way to even learn how to make it at school, passing grades, you see? And so my son Tommy, I'm very proud of, because he got rejected from all the best schools and then just realized he saw his life, you know? And he graduated almost top of his class at Columbia. How did he do that? He clawed his way. He learned and learned. He studied and studied and studied and studied and studied. So he's a good rich kid. He's used to scrapping, you know? And now I got my daughter Kate, who can't even read on second grade level, you know? I don't know how I'm going to bring her up. I just want to get her to fourth grade. Then she can get her driver's exam. You get it? You need fourth grade to pass that driver's exam. But what I love about Kate is she's a struggler. She's like, I'm trying my best. Okay. So I might spoil them with too many Christmas presents, but they don't spoil themselves with their struggle. And so that's kind of saving their ass in my book. But will I give them money when they want to start a business? I'm sure I will. I'm a sucker like every other parent out there. I can't pretend I won't. And it's too bad, because God bless the child that makes his own. It's so much more satisfying.
Absolutely. And along the way, no matter who you are, there's always going to be detractors. But there were certainly people who said, you know, there's not anybody that looks like you that's doing what you're doing, you know, do your very best. But the one thing that you ought to know about me, Poppy, is that I am negatively motivated. So when you tell me I can't do something, I am all over it like a bad smell. And if anything, it really pushes me even further to go forward, especially if somebody thinks that I can't do it.
Have you always been negatively motivated? I mean, walk us back to what your childhood was like, and what made you that way.
Well, I'll say that I had, in my opinion, a great childhood because my parents brought me up in a no excuses household. So I could never make an excuse, oh, I didn't get that grade because the teacher didn't like me, or this happened or that happened. So I could never really run to race or gender, you know, as the first base anyway, as to why something didn't happen. And the other thing that my parents did that I thought was quite effective is that they always made me feel that I was supposed to do well.
You've said as a child that your mother always said to you, the world is not fair, so get an A+.
And I thought that was her genius way, frankly, of preparing me for the discrimination that might await me as I moved into the world, if you will. And so she'd say, be so outstanding that there's no debate. So if you want that A, get the A+. So if they shave you, you'll have an A. Now, I didn't stop to say, who is they? And why might they shave me? But obviously over time, as you grow older and you become more mature, you start to see some of the inequities. You might even experience some of the inequities. But anytime I even remotely thought that there was an inequity there, then it just motivated me to push even further.
There are still so few women like you on Wall Street, so few Black female top executives at these firms. And it is 2017. And I cannot get my head around why. All of these companies have diversity councils, diversity handbooks. There is a real care, I believe, an emphasis on it, but that is not matched by the reality. Why?
I think those of us who are boomers, and even those who are a little older than me, traditionalists, I don't think that we are doing our part in telling the story around the fact that you can do it, and telling the truths around where there might be challenges and where there might not be. Because I speak to a lot of young women, millennials and Xers, and they're still asking the questions that we were asking. Can I have it all? Am I going to have to sacrifice this? Or what happens when I get to this? Or the guys won't let me do that. And we should say, wait a minute. Let me tell you, A, that you can do it, and let me give you the formula around how to do it. And I don't think enough of us are doing that. So I'm going to put the first responsibility on us.